Hi again. Today I just wanted to talk to you about tracking progress. What is the best way to track progress when you're on like a weight loss diet, for example? A lot of people focus primarily on the scales, and I will say that's not necessarily such a good idea. Yes, the scales can give you an idea of where you're at, but I find a lot of people, they weigh themselves every single day or sometimes even twice a day, and they get all upset because the weight's not going down, it could be going up, and it really messes with your head. So if you're going to weigh yourself, then weighing yourself every day is not necessarily the best way to track progress, because your weight on a day-to-day basis changes due to a myriad number of factors. I mean, it could be what you ate yesterday, how busy you were at work, what time you got up, what time you went to bed, if you're stressed, if you're not stressed, all of these things, and particularly for women, sorry, I should say, hormones play a huge part of your day-to-day fluctuations of weight. And I've just given you an example here. This is from my competition prep last year. Now you can see that on Monday I started at 59.6, and then Tuesday I dropped a little bit. Wednesday I dropped another bit. So by Wednesday, in 2 days, I'm already down over a kilo. But then for no apparent reason whatsoever, the following day I was up by over half a kilo. And this is the day before my refeed, which is usually my lowest weight day for the week. Then after my refeed, I bounced up by another kilo exactly. And you kind of expect that because I'm on a calorie restriction, and then I've had a big meal with lots of carbs in it. And I think I've told you before that every single gram of carbs, starchy carbs, this is such as, chips and potatoes and sweet potatoes and rice and that sort of stuff. Every gram of those kinds of foods you have attracts 3 grams of water. So you can totally expect, if you have a big meal after you've been in calorie restriction for a while, you can totally expect your weight to go up. That's totally natural. And then by Saturday, I was back down to where I was on Thursday, which again is exactly what I would expect, because having had 2 days back on my much lower carb diet, all of that extra water weight from those carbs from my Thursday refeed has worked its way out of my body, and the water weight has dropped off. Okay, so this is why scales are not necessarily such a good indicator of progress. And for those of you who set a target, when you sort of set out on a weight loss program, you go, I want to lose 5 kilos, I want to weigh X number of kilos. Again, I've already mentioned this when we were sort of talking about motivation and goals. How do you know what you're going to look like when you've reached this arbitrary number on the scales? How do you know you're going to be happy with that arbitrary number on the scales? Because as you can see here, you could bounce around that arbitrary number on the scales for any particular reason at all. Are you going to be happy every day that you hit that weight, and then unhappy every day that you don't hit that weight? Can you start to see how this messes with your head? This is why when you're trying to measure progress, often less tangible measures can be better for you, such as how your clothes feel, such as how you feel. Okay, and I'll get to this in a second, but photographs are an excellent way of gauging progress. Now, yes, the scales can give you progress, as you can see here, and if you are going to weigh yourself daily, then what you need to do is average it out over the course of at least a week. Okay, and then I'll give you another example of why we don't trust the scales. Here we go. This is from much closer to my competition. At this stage, I was only 3 weeks out from my competition, so I was much, much leaner. I was probably sitting down at probably about 9% body fat by then. And you can see I started Monday at 58 kilos. And my Mondays on comp prep, I'm always heaviest of the week, because during the weekends, I tend to relax my diet a little bit, don't pay so much attention to it. So, that's when I tend to go out for my non-compliant meals. So by Monday, because I've probably had much more carbs than for the rest of the week, then yes, again, I'm always heavier. So I totally expect that. Tuesday, because I've had my Monday back on my super low carb day, you can see that I've dropped like 1.5 kilos. Wednesday, I dropped a bit more. Thursday, again, I dropped another half kilo. So between Monday and Thursday, I'm down, 2.5 kilos. And that's literally just by sticking to my low carb diet, okay, and doing the exercise, my normal exercise. Then I had my refeed, and of course Friday I bounced up a little bit. Now this is the thing, when you're so lean, if you've been in a calorie restriction for a long space of time, these phases or individual meals where you refeed your body with calories can actually pay huge dividends. You can see that because I only bounced up by the previous one after my refeed, when I had much more fat on me, I bounced up by a kilo. Because my body's so lean and it absolutely needs those extra calories, you can see that it's pretty much, even with all of those carbs that I had on my refeed, it's absorbed every single one of those, and my weight really hasn't bounced up at all. And then something amazing happened on the Saturday. I dropped, what's that? Blimey, that's 2.5 kilos. So in the course of a week, I've dropped nearly 5 kilos. That's absolutely staggering. Now, do you think that's fat? Of course it's not. It's all water weight. And it's all because of what I've eaten for the week. And then you get to there's this phenomenon known as stalls and whooshes. When you're on a weight loss program, you often find that weight loss is not linear. It doesn't go in straight lines. You'll lose a bit and you'll stop. You'll lose a bit and you'll stop. And the reason for that is because your fat cells, initially, yes, they'll lose the fat, but then they'll fill up with water. And then at some point, the cell walls can no longer hold that fat cell open, and it collapses and the water just flushes out. This is known as a whoosh. And you can see here, I obviously had a whoosh. So between Friday night, or sort of Friday morning at sort of 6 o'clock in the morning, and Saturday at sort of 7 o'clock in the morning, I lost 2.5 kilos. Now, not fat, all water, and that's what's known as a whoosh. And here's a chart of my weight loss for my whole comp prep. And you can this jagged line here is my actual average weekly weight, and you can see it went down a bit. Then for a couple of weeks it went up, and actually this coincided when I was away on South Africa. Then I had a massive drop as soon as I got back onto diet. Then it went nice and steadily for a while. Then I had a really good week, and then something went horribly wrong here. Don't know what happened. Went all over the place, and then I had that whoosh. So that was the whoosh. So these bars are the actual weight loss for the week. So this one here was the whoosh. The previous 2 weeks I put on weight. The week before that I lost weight. Then I had 2 weeks where I put on weight. But this one, of course, is all water weight. Okay. What you need to look at overall is the trend line, which is this blue trend line here. And as long as that trend line is going in the direction you want it to be going on, all is good. Now, another thing you've noticed, I've added in where I've had my periods. Sorry, guys. Full disclosure here, I'm afraid. And you can kind of see this one here didn't affect anything. This one may have had a bit of an effect there. This one here definitely had a bit of an effect. You can see I was holding water. So for the 2 weeks around this one, I didn't lose any weight. And the same thing here. My weight loss with this one was lower. The 2 weeks after this one, lower. Same here. This one, the 2 weeks after, much lower weight loss. And this is normal, by the way, ladies. The first 2 weeks after your period, you're less likely to lose fat. The 2 weeks before your next period is when you're going to lose most of your fat. Okay? This is a well-known phenomenon, and there are trainers who actually train women for competition according to their cycle because of this phenomenon of the 2 weeks after your period, you tend not to lose fat, and the 2 weeks before your next one is when you tend to lose the most of your fat and make your most progress. So women, bear that one in mind, okay? So let's get on to photographs. This is probably one of my preferred methods. I mean, in addition to just watching the trend of your weight, photographs are an excellent way of gauging progress. Now, of course, you see yourself in the mirror every day, so you probably don't think you're changing. But if you take photographs 1 week apart and then compare it against each other, then you can see really, really clearly how you're doing. And you can see here from week 1 through to week 9, this is when I felt comfortable in my little booty shorts because my legs were coming through. And you can see I'm losing through my middle, my legs are coming in more and more. I put a bit of tan on there, and then I get to the final stage here where I'm competition ready. So the difference between week 1, look at this, kind of chubby, kind of soft through the middle to the end where I'm as hard as nails. So that's how you track progress. And this is what I get to do with all of my clients is every week I have them do a check-in with photographs. Yes, we do the weight as well and gauge the overall progress, but it's the photographs that I look for because that's where you can see the most changes. And here we go again. So again, week 1, can't really see much. Had a great week in week 5. All of a sudden I started showing, then I started showing, going all the way through until I'm competition ready, where you can see my hamstrings have come through, my glutes are looking great. So you can see where I'm progressing and losing the fat. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say. This is how you track progress. Take photographs of yourself on a weekly basis at the same time of every day of every week. So let's say you wanted to do Saturday morning, make it Saturday morning every week. If you're going to weigh yourself at the same time every day, if you are going to do every day, but then average it out over the week. It's what happens over the course of a week that matters and over the course of several weeks that matter. I've said this before. Day-to-day fluctuations will mess with your head. So it's what happens on a weekly basis that it counts. And that's what you need to track. Women in particular are going to suffer from stools and whooshes. Their cycle definitely affects when you're going to lose fat and when you're going to lose less fat. And your weight is affected by pretty much everything you do on the previous day. Okay? So do not stress about it. If you're weighing yourself every day, please do not stress about it if your weight has gone up. Okay? It's probably just water weight, as I've shown you. Okay? And I've shown you exactly the reasons why my weight fluctuated during the week. It was generally because of what I'd eaten. Okay? So bear all of these in mind and take the pressure off yourself and stop giving yourself a hard time if you are giving yourself a hard time, okay? Weight loss is not linear. It's a progression over a longer period of time that you're looking for, okay? I hope that helps.